Hi everyone, Robbo here. You're listening to the Blues Focus podcast. Keep right on.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. Before we get into today's podcast, I'd just like to give a big shout out to our current patrons. And if you'd like to join these names in the brand new Blues Focus Hall of Fame, you can join our Patreon page for just £1 a month. Perks included will be monthly giveaways and early access to guest pods. The link will be in the description anyway for our Patreon packages. But that's enough from me. Let's get straight into today's Blues Focus podcast. Thank you for joining us as always.
Hello and welcome to the Blues Focus podcast with me, your host, John Graham. Once again, many thanks for taking the time to download this pod, or if you're viewing it on YouTube, please subscribe. We get into the business end of the season. We'll talk about recent results, which, I mean, what a turnaround. I think we're all pleased, a little bit amazed, but it's all good, and hopefully the hope doesn't kill us, as Tom always says. So as we come to that, please leave your comments, some interesting ones, and hopefully my haircut's better and my broadband's better for whoever left that fucking nugget on. So nice one, keep them coming. But anyway, Carl, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Good. Haven't managed to get a fresh trim like you, but
well, you only get fucking shit.
Yeah, clearly.
And Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Apart from my eye, I look like I've been smacked up, but I promise I haven't.
You're going on the ticket of it's a sty, but I think that's potentially a Derby fan that's giving you a bit of a clout, mate.
Oh yeah, cool. For all the bashing I give them
after your tirade. So yeah, okay, let's get involved. Let's look back to the game against Stoke a couple of days ago now. Still, obviously, still fresh in the mind. And yet again, I mean, Christ, I think we've got two trademarks now: the Dream Pick and Bowyer's Bingo. And here we were again. So, Carl, onto Bingo. What do you think of the selection?
Today's sponsor of the Blues Focus podcast is Fans Favourite. Exclusively to Blues fans, you can get 10% off at checkout using the code BluesFocus10 at fansfavourite.co.uk.
I think it was quite surprising. I didn't expect him to change it up again. Obviously, Hogan is I think he fell on his hip or something, and I think he's come out and said they were playing like Piggy in the Middle or something.
Yeah.
In fucking trading, and Hogan fell over and hurt his hip. So, but yeah, obviously not knowing that beforehand, it was a bit bizarre. I wasn't expecting that. I definitely didn't think Seds would be back in as good as a job as he did doing the game before. I think it was Swansea, wasn't it? I think he was fantastic, but I wasn't expecting to see him. And obviously with Hogan's absence explained, it was kind of obvious why Hogan was picked. Why Lecco was picked. But I was still surprised, and I still genuinely thought we'd see Cosgrove start, to be honest, because he's really the only one that hasn't actually started out of the four strikers. So surprising, but I think we've said over the last couple, it feels like whoever he picks is going to do a fucking job for him. So I'm not worried about that at all. It's almost enjoyable at this point. Who's he pulled out the fucking hat this time? So So it's surprising, but I'm still happy with it. So
Tom.
Completely agree with Carl. I thought it was actually a really, really interesting angle to go down with the kind of Dukey Cosgrove Lico thing. I was obviously gutted not to see Hogan in there, but when you found out why, it was hard not to laugh, really. Yeah. But I agree. I thought it was a shame not to see more of Cosgrove. However, he did get a few more minutes than he usually does, which is a step, let's say. Do
you think the target is that he gets a cumulative 90 minutes by the end of the fucking season?
Yeah, probably. Jesus. But yeah, no, I think I was happy to see Lico starting, but let's be honest, it was a horrific game for him, really. I think there was a few bright moments, but we'll tap into that in a bit. But to be fair, I actually think Cosgrove could have started that game alongside Dukey, but I honestly see why he doesn't do that, obviously, because it's two target men and you want a bit more variety in your squad. So no, overall, I was happy with the lineup. Good to see Seds back in. And I think everyone who played just did a job. Mark Roberts was fantastic, but I'll definitely talk about that shortly. So, no,
Yeah.
it was good.
I mean, there always tends to be maybe one surprising pick. Lecco wasn't a surprise for me. I think we've all sort of said that he's obviously a Bowyer favourite. I think that favouritism could be on the wane a little bit. I was surprised at Seddon. I thought McGree was exceptional.
Yeah.
I really felt for him. If I look at the games in isolation, McGree versus Seddon, when Seddon got the hook after 45, and obviously McGree played a full game and did incredibly well in the previous sort of performance. Yeah, I don't really see that. Yeah, fuck it. I mean, it is a criticism. There's no way I would have done that because McGree has been so hard done by, played so well. He's so intelligent. He's left-footed. I know Seds is, but he just, yeah, and maybe picked him because Seds is more naturally defensive. Stoke are going to put it on us from get-go. So I get the rationale, but I thought McGree was exceptional defending in the previous game. So that was a little bit disappointing. I get the Sunjic running man selection. Yeah, okay, well that's what we're into. And I do find myself, and I don't know which one of you said it a couple of pods ago, that you've just got to temper, I think, what you want to see to what's going to be effective. So, criticism aside of the Seddon selection, that was a team to do a job. And I think that's a good sort of move into that first half. So, Tom, how do you think? Yeah, what was your take on that first half? From both sides, really.
I don't think either side really stood out massively, other than the fact that obviously we got a goal, which is obviously something to build off. So you probably say Blues had the better half, which I'd agree. I'd say we played a certain way, and that the game plan looked like it was coming off. It wasn't pretty, but it was doing a job. I thought Stoke, when they did come forward, looked really dangerous. The problem was when it came to actually taking a chance, they didn't know what to do with themselves half the time. So, their build-up play was all nice, looked good, and then their end product was just abysmal, to be honest, and which I wouldn't have expected with players like Stephen Fletcher in there. So, no, I was surprised at how poor Stoke were going forward. They were tough to break down at the back, but Mark Roberts turned into David Beckham for a very, very brief spell.
Mate, he's done that before.
He has played good crosses into the box before. I remember when he got an assist. I can't remember who it was for, but it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. No.
I actually think it was against QPR at home.
Yeah, I think it might have been QPR, yeah.
Yeah. And, I was really impressed. To be honest, I honestly feel like that's the best cross I've ever seen at St Andrews. In all honesty, genuinely the best cross I've ever seen, and it's come from Mark Roberts. So no, fair play to him. And then Juki's just done what Juki does, really, hasn't he? And put us ahead going into the break. Probably one of the best times to score in a game. So pleased, I'd say.
Yeah, Carl.
Yeah. Basically, that really. What I was really impressed with is that I think we may have mentioned it again. Like these long throws from Roberts, they seem to have a bit of intent now rather than just a fucking chuck and hope. And what I really liked was that 2 or 3 times Stoke lined up for that, and we did play it short, which obviously led to the goal.
Yeah.
Which proves that we're not just fucking throwing anything in and hoping for the best. We will mix it up.
Yeah.
I think Colin had a fantastic first half. I think he was fucking phenomenal down there, right? He was up and down.
Different gravy.
Unbelievable. And he looks more comfortable in that role, I think, than out and out right back, because we know going forward he's really good. And defensively, sometimes he's a bit less so, but he just looked phenomenal. And he fucking had, what's his name? Norrington Davies, that's the one, in his pocket.
Yeah.
All fucking hard.
It's a bit of a bloody sidebar, but speaking to my kids, I'm like, when my kids were born, at the point to look at him and say, do you know what? He looks he looks like a Norrington to me. Where the fuck does that come from? That's got to be a family. Anyway, sorry. Or not
Norrington
in the dressing room. But sorry, back to Colin.
But yeah, he had and how Norrington Davis didn't get booked for his fucking just blatant revenge attack on Max, by the way. But yeah, I think we look solid. I think neither team really, I don't know, they just didn't really seem to be firing initially. But like Tom said, great time to score just before the break. And I think it was just kind of one of those halves where I think whoever would have scored would have controlled the game moving forward. And obviously, ultimately, that's kind of what panned out.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing was the defense held the line really well. We caught them offside so many fucking times in that first period, which I think was great. And for the most part, we kept Powell quiet, which was, again, I think Tom mentioned before, keeping him quiet was key. Okay, Tom didn't get his broken legs he was hoping for, but we kept him quiet and he didn't really do anything. So really pleased with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think on the offside, I guess, topic, I mean, it feels like somebody had a spread bet on how many times Lecco and Fletcher could be caught offside in one half, because it was fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's like, it's sort of, with Hogan, he's always on the shoulder, and he's always playing a very, very, it's a fine line, isn't it, with Hogan, because that's the way he plays. And I'm not quite in with Lecco. It just feels that, I don't know, he switches off. He's not really, his head's not in the game. He's very pedestrian when he's off the ball. And he knows that he's had a poor, well, he had a poor game, but he had a poor first half. And yeah, I think he needs a confidence booster, but I genuinely don't know where that's going to come from, because Bowyer's kept the faith. Obviously, Hogan's out, and he's the man he's gone for. And it's a big game. It's one of those games that I think between us, I think we all predicted a victory, but I think that was off the backdrop of the momentum rather than it was an easy game. I'm with you. I thought Colin was fucking brilliant. I just really like him as a player. And even when, the Shrugger brought in Valerie, I just didn't see that was I just did. With Dacus Cogley as a backup, I think that's fine. I think if we're a top two pushing side, the depth isn't there. But for where we're at, I think Dacus Cogley can come in and do a job. He did when he came in early part of the season. So I didn't like that signing at all. And it just puts undue pressure on things. And then, I think the rest of them were solid. It was, and going back to my point earlier, I just found myself looking at the performance thinking, fucking hell, this is poor. This is just attritional football. And then I gave my head a wobble and thought, if we get a point or three, I couldn't give a fuck what it looks like. So it's just trying to get into the mind of, would that performance be something that will be lapping up this time next season when we can get into the ground and we get served up that? Probably not, because I'd like to think the team's probably evolved a little bit by then. Halilovic is not. It's a bit like going back to Djukovic in the Karanka mould was never going to work. And I think when we play that attritional style, I think Halilovic is a little bit limited, because there's just not, who's he going to give it to?
Yeah,
who's he going to give it to? His only option is probably Gardner, but he's a workman. There's no point giving it to Sunjic. There's definitely no point giving it to Lecco. And because he's a build-up player, you don't want Dukey with his back to goal 30 yards out. So I do feel for him, but I just hope next season he feels like the player that we can maybe, I think, build a bit of an attacking force around. But all in all, and to your point, Tom, we're starting to do things we never do. We're now scoring when we, in those dying embers of a half, never ever have done that before. We look solid, haven't looked solid for ages. And I think it's now this evolution of getting to, it's easy to say, oh, it's Blues. Well, this Blues, it's totally different. It's totally different, and it's fantastic. So, right, we get the first goal, going to the second half. Cole, did you think we'd kick on, or did you think it'd be more of the same?
To be honest, I thought it'd be more of the same. And I think coming back to your point around McGree, I think that substitution changed the game 100%. For us going forward, him coming at half time, it just galvanised the team. And even Lecco in the second half looked better for having McGree on the pitch, I feel.
Yeah.
I think that substitution was, I guess, almost inspired, I guess is the way you say it. And I think that is what drove us on. Like I was expecting, like you say, more attritional football, more kind of let's grind this out. Let's get this, it is what it is. But actually, McGree came on and turned it, we started playing football. And I think, I'm really disappointed his shot didn't go straight in, to be perfectly fucking honest. Because he deserved it. He proper wellied that, didn't he? And Duke, as ever, was in the right place at the right time to stick it home. And to be honest with you, once we'd got that second goal, Stoke didn't look anything. I think they looked lost. And to be honest, they were lucky it wasn't more. If Lecco had got his head up, maybe, and supplied it to McGree later on in that half. But what I really like is this game management we seem to have. There are times we are holding on. Of course there are. There's always teams hold on in games. Of course there is. But we managed that game out once we'd got that early second goal as well for a change. Once we got that, we just managed that game out. They were never really a threat. Okay, they had a few opportunities into the box or whatever, or they got corners here or there. But other than that, we saw it out. And that was from the front to the back. And I just think it's just really great to have a team that is trying to see a game out rather than, trying to fucking pass back from 35 yards or whatever else, or throwing things away. So, I think the substitutions were really good. It was great to see, obviously, Amari Miller come on for his debut as well. And I think him getting that little run, okay, he obviously didn't necessarily get a goal or a shot away out of it, but he won a corner out of it, ran down the clock, and that'll only give him confidence as well.
Yeah.
And it's great to see him thrown on at the end and given that opportunity by Bowyer, really. It second half, from my view, was completely different to the way I thought we'd play it. McGree turned it on its head, and then we just saw it out once we'd scored that second, and we could have had, 3 or 4 maybe? I say not 3 or 4 more goals. I think could have been 3 or 4 by the end of the game.
Yeah. I think that's a fair comment.
And,
Any highlights for you from the second half that maybe, certainly different to what we've been served under Karanka, but can you see a pattern with this team?
Yeah, I can definitely. I think we're a lot more just stable and strong. Like it's clear to see how we want to play. I think we have different aspects to our game. We can change our style without it being too overcomplicated. We have a plan B for a change, which is nice. And we just try different things. And it seems to be, everyone seems to be comfortable with whatever we try and complete or try and present on the football pitch. But at the same time, although we're trying new things and different things, it's all still things that the players are capable of. And I think that's where we went wrong under Karanka. Karanka was so set on his own style that the players just weren't capable of it. And he never, he'd always try and adapt, but adapt too much. And he's trying to adapt on a formula that isn't working. Whereas with Bowyer, he's found a formula that works and then has adapted on that instead, rather than trying to add to something that already doesn't work. So, no, I've definitely been much more impressed with how we take to games, and especially our game management, like Carl touched upon. I thought we were fantastic. Stoke, that second half, didn't really cause any problems whatsoever. They look like they should be where we are, and we should be where they are yet again, really. It's one of those. And then Amari Miller, when he came on, oozing with confidence, really. I think that was quite clear to see from all the step overs. I think we were all kind of dreaming from for that to just end up nestling in the top bin, but unfortunately it didn't. And then funnily enough, the next day I spotted him in Asda while I was doing my food shopping. So there you go, fun fact.
He's not the one that chinned you, is he?
No, he's not. I'm sure we'd have heard about it by now in the Birmingham Mail. Crazy fan goes up to Amari Miller asking for autograph, gets slapped up. No, but yeah, no, I wasn't going to go bother him. I'm not the type. I think they need to lead their normal lives. And I'd probably, if I was going to say hello, it'd be an event or something. But Yeah, no, so that was nice as well. But overall, very happy with the second half. Game management was great. Another good goal. Juki being in the right place at the right time. And just, if only that McGree strike had gone in. It deserved to go in. It was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you know what, that McGree strike, very similar to the one he scored for the under-23s.
Yeah. Low driven, Gardner-esque, Craig Gardner-esque, very much.
Yeah. And we've spoken about it many times on the pod. We've looked pretty ordinary when it comes to sort of shooting from outside the box. It's never a threat. But McGree just feels like he's got a fantastic technique. He's not shy. Typical Australian. He backs himself. He's brave. He goes for it. He doesn't get intimidated by anything. And I'm now thinking, what the fuck are we going to do to keep this kid? Because obviously he's off to the MLS with Charlotte. Not a bird. That's the actual place. At the end of the season, he might be going out with someone called Charlotte. Who fucking knows? But probably Sheila. But we'll get to Christmas, and that's where hopefully we'll get him back. Because I just like everything about him. I think again he's I don't know. I know it's cliche, but he just feels like a Blues player to me.
Yeah,
overly flash, but he's just really solid in what he does, and he puts his toe in. And I just think he's been a big find for us. And whoever did that deal and found him, then they are to be commended, because I really like his style. I think second half overall, yeah, we look solid. There's nothing flash. And I think, if we're being realistic, and a centre two of Gardner and Sunjic is never going to be flash. What it will do is put the grunts in, and, against those combative sides, then you're going to need that. So, again, it's backing up what we've said before, which is matching up teams like for like, and then hopefully grinding them down to a point where we can nick the goal and maybe get the victory. And I think Karanka, that was sort of his philosophy to a degree. The problem was he just didn't have the players on board, and he was square pegs in round holes, and that's why it didn't work. Whereas Bowie has obviously got him on side, and to your point, Tom, and you're absolutely right, they're just playing in positions that they're familiar with more often than not. And if they're playing in positions like McGree played, when he's playing left wing back and he's never played there before, he's just a fucking good footballer. And I'm a big believer in if you're a good footballer, you can play anywhere. And that's it for me. And again, absolutely fantastic to hear a Stoke manager moaning.
I was hoping we'd touch on this.
Moaning about long throws. Fucking hell. I mean, I've heard it all now. I've heard it all. And
rumour has it Stoke is still flooded from his tears.
Honest to God. I mean, I know that they're still trying to, shed the Pulis tag. They haven't done that. They never will. Because the only semblance of success they've had is off the back of shit football. So, and to be fair, outside of a couple of decent bits of build-up play, fucking Bobby average. So they can't tell me that we've... the great thing is, and Carl, you mentioned it, by changing it up on not just bunging long throws in, I think that the manager was probably a little bit pissed off. They couldn't read it when we did go short, and it did go to Colin, and we were changing the angle of delivery. So, yeah, I do. I love a moaning gaffer. It's fucking brilliant. And that again, that's a big thing about what I think just great for Blues. And
that's 2 in a row now. 2 games in a row.
It was great. I mean, if the crowd had been in, fantastic.
We'd leave them all crying. It's all good.
Yeah. As Cole said, the game management, the time wasting, all of it, it's beautiful. So long may that continue. So we're going to push on to the next game because it's massive, and I'm mindful that Cole's only got a couple of minutes. He's got a prior engagement. So let's just get your thoughts, Carl, on. I mean, obviously, there's going to be an element of bingo in there, so I won't hold you to it. Yep. But we've got to have your dream pick before you go. And, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Cosgrove. I'm going to go with it until he fucking picks him. That's what I'm fucking doing. It's going to happen. I think it's, regardless of who he plays with, I think it's probably going to be the right game. I said that about Stoke. I'll say it again. I'll say it every game. It's going to fucking happen. One time I'm going to be fucking right. I think it's Cosgrove. I think it's a good time for him to come in. I think it's Yeah, it can't be unsaid how big the game is. You know, you've got a team they're playing tonight. Obviously, they then got to fucking play Thursday and then us on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think that game is huge from the fact that obviously we need to win it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe we don't need to win it, but a win would be fantastic. And I think we need to be looking at putting 4 or 5 goals past them, and we should be. There's no excuse not to. So I think it's massive. I think Cosgrove gets his chance. There may be a little bit more change up in personnel. Maybe he'll switch the system and maybe look to bring Bella back in for a bit more creativity, possibly. Because I don't see Bella being a left wing back. I really fucking don't. No. And I could see, if he doesn't change it and he stays with that, I reckon you'll see McGree start, because I think Halalovic has a bit of a knock again as well. So I'd be shocked to see Riley not starting. But I think it's a massive game. Cosgrove to start, 5-0, and basically safe for the season. There you go. You heard it here first, lads.
We can all hope.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Right. Is that you done?
It is, yeah. I've got to shoot, lads. So,
okay,
no worries. Pleasure as always, Carl.
Say goodbye to the people's favourites, and we'll catch up after the game.
Yes, catch you later, lads. Take care.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right, and then there were 2. So
yes.
over to you, Tom. So with the Rotherham game, I suppose, how do you think he's going to approach it? Is he going to approach it any differently, or do you think it's going to be more of the same?
I think I'd like to think he'd approach it differently. It wouldn't surprise me if it was more of the same, though. I don't see why not. But if he does approach it differently, I'd like to see us go back to a 4 at the back so we can be more attacking. Because for me, Rotherham will be there for the taking with how tired they are.
Yeah.
So if we get on them early, put a few early goals past them, take a baseball bat right to their confidence, then we're sorted. We just got to get on them early and proper go for the game. And you know what? I know we mentioned Halilovic not being fit, and if he isn't fit for it, then we've seen Ivan Sanchez play a number 10 role this season already, and he didn't fare too badly. But you know what? I'd be really intrigued to see how Bella would fare at a number 10. I don't think he'd be natural, but it'd be one of those that I don't feel like there's much to lose from trying it. So we could give it a go. It's not out the realms of impossibility. But no, it'd be nice to see one of them 2 guys included back in the squad, whether that's in a central role or a wide role, because that just gives us more attacking threat. And, if Cosgrove plays, then great. I think he towers over Wes Harding. So that would be nice to see. But I think we take the game to them. I think they'll crumble, or they should anyway. But it's Blues. It wouldn't surprise me if we decide to lose 5-0 to Rotherham and then drag ourselves back in the battle and take it to the last day for a laugh. But hopefully we can see them out, and I do believe if we win, we're almost home and dry, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of it does depend, or whether it should or whether it shouldn't. But my logic would be, if Rotherham lose the next couple of games, they're pretty much dead and buried.
Yeah.
Their confidence will be gone. Whatever happens, they're going to be leggy. They're got to be, just on the amount of football that they've played. And I'm with you. I'd like to see, certainly if they're bang low on confidence, that we've got to get on the front foot. And I don't think we need to pick an attritional side. I think we need to have maybe a bit more of a free-flowing setup, like we did for, I guess, the first victory under Bowyer, where we played some lovely stuff. I mean, to be fair, there's been patches, even in the defeat. I thought we played some really nice stuff. But I'd be inclined to get the legs on them, because if they're tired, then there is an argument for Bella. There's a potentially argument for Sanchez. I actually think McGree would play well at 10.
Yeah,
I think he's got just so much talent on the ball. And I think well, it's not under Cranker, it's never a 10, is it? He was just playing fucking centre mid. But there were times where he was in that advanced role and he really did deliver. And we know he's got a shot from outside the box. And I think Bowyer will be saying to him, you've got license to do what you want if he does go in that role. I'd like to see Harper back in, because I think it gives us a better dimension on the ball. Wouldn't change the defence. Again, I will continue to eat humble pie. And, credit where it's due. they were shit for most of the season. They've really turned it around. So fair dues, not gonna sort of complain on that one. So it's a shame Terrell's injured. He did perfect. I think he'd have had something really good to offer this team.
Would have been a good game for him.
Yeah, I don't. He's gone, isn't he? He's not going to play for us again.
Yeah.
And Cosgrove, difficult now too, because obviously the game prior to our victory against Stoke, Dukey looked a little bit out of sorts, probably a bit tired because he hadn't obviously had a major run of games for most of the season. But no, I mean, Christ, certainly with the obviously the break we've got, you can't pull him out the squad.
Yeah, can't take a laddie's bag to brace out.
No, he's top. He's going to be top of the world based on he's got a new contract, which is fantastic. And I think he's going to be absolutely chomping at the bit. So, but there is also an argument if they are battered, completely battered, and if we've got lots of speed wide, I wouldn't be bothered about Cosgrove and Djukovic up top.
Neither would I.
I wouldn't mind seeing it all. I mean, it's a fucking throwback, but I think Cosgrove, he's going to be feeling great because let's be fair, he's had the move of his career, and he hasn't played in a fucking shit side with a shit manager, and he's thinking, what's going on? All of a sudden, he's now seen the players in our squad come out their shells, deliver quality, deliver consistency, deliver results, and a gaffer that's got it. Nobody. I would imagine that dressing room is absolutely buzzing, running through the brick walls for him. And I think Cosgrove's now thinking, could you give me a chance? I want to get on. And for me, and I feel for the kid, but there's no way Lecco should be starting now. No way.
Not after that recent.
He's had his chance. I think the only way for me, if Hilalovic is out and you put McGree in at 10 with Dukey, there's spots that are free up, Bella on the left, maybe Lecco on the right. That's a possibility, but I think he's struggling. And let's be fair, Christ, if we'd have said when Bowyer came in, there's only really going to be one player that maybe doesn't kick on. And to be fair, we'd have probably all said that it wouldn't be Lecco based on the relationship he's got with Bowyer.
Yeah.
Trying too hard. Maybe he's trying too hard.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised to see Miller come in, though.
Yeah, brilliant.
Be great to see Simmons as well. I feel like that's
absolutely. And I do think that once we are safe in inverted,
we'll see more of them.
We'll see them. And it's fucking exciting. But first things first, we've got to get over the line on Sunday because the manager did say, and obviously he's going to be a lot more comfortable now looking at the table than when he started. But even so, I still think we need to probably get 48, 50 points just to be absolutely certain. And with a side that are in a 4-game run in 8 days, fucking hell, you're not going to get a better chance. So to that point, what do you think prediction-wise, mate?
I'm going to say, I think it's going to be one of them proper bonkers games. And I've just got this weird 4-2 feeling. I think Rotherham will completely change their side and they'll pick players that they wouldn't normally pick, but they'll be up for the game. Those players that they don't normally pick will be up for the game because they finally got a chance in the first team. So you might see a few extra committed performances, and then obviously the usuals will be very tired. And I think that's why we could put 4 past them. But it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some goals from Rotherham because they do have goals in them. And if there's some fresh players in there that aren't regularly picked, they'll be determined to make a name for themselves. So, I feel a 4-2.
I think I think you're closer than Carl's 5-0, if I'm being brutally honest. Solely because that regardless of what happens in the next couple of games from them, they've got to win the game.
Yeah.
So they've got to come at us. And I think our major strength has been our defence, ironically. And as long as that continues, then I think they'll be really gung-ho and leave a ton of space for us to really sort of take advantage of. I'd probably go 3-1. Now we're starting to score or create chances, and with McGree and we've got some talent in that team. I think there's going to be a lot of spaces for us to maybe take advantage of. But I think it will be a little bit like the Alamo with them. I think they're going to keep coming in. I think to shut them out is going to be a tall order. But I do think it's the old adage: we'll score more than they do.
True.
And I think 3-1's probably not going to be far off the mark, hopefully. But we do go into every game now with an element of confidence. And crikey, if we could get this one over the line, then I think there is just that obvious sigh. Then still games to play, but Christ, I think we'd only need a couple of points after that. So yeah, but a bit to wait. We'll know what we're up against on Sunday. Everybody would have played by then pretty much. I think there's one other fixture on Sunday. So it is very much another thing for us to say, right, galvanise them, be another thing that Lee can do to really motivate them and take them forward. So really looking forward to it. So there we have it. Tom, thank you, my friend. I hope your eye improves. You can actually see the game on Sunday.
No worries. Thank you very much. I hope so too.
No problem at all. So that's it. We've got a little bit to wait, but I think it'd be really interesting to see the side he picks. What a place it must be at the moment to, that dressing room must be absolutely flying. So I don't see the momentum stopping now. Some massive results, and the gaffer's done just the best job. I think we could have asked for any more. So let's hope that continues. But between now and then, stay safe and keep right on.